Hey everyone, it's Jen. Welcome back to Yarn Purpose. Today I want to talk to you just briefly about becoming a teacher when you're a designer. Hey everyone, welcome back. I have a designer chat for you today. I just wanted to talk a little bit about some different places that you can teach if you're a designer. And I'm just going to share a little bit about my experiences and sort of like the most common places I teach. Obviously, if you asked a bunch of different designers / teachers, they'd give you a bunch of different answers. So there are three main areas where I teach. So I teach at local yarn stores, I teach for knitting guilds, and I occasionally teach at conventions. And I would say the vast majority of the work I do, definitely as far as teaching goes, is with yarn stores and knitting guilds. And I feel like knitting guilds is like the secret, that's like the secret place to be teaching. And I just say that because I think a lot of people don't think of that often as like somewhere where they would go teach. Like a lot of times when you're on social media, you're seeing things about, all these different conventions and big events, and there's 30 teachers at this event, which those are great. Those are super fun too. But for me, I found like teaching at the knitting guilds and the yarn stores, it's a lot easier, I think, to get those jobs. And the knitting guilds, like I said, I feel like they're like the best kept secret because, you can sort of set your rates for what you're going to teach, both at the yarn stores and at the guilds. You can set your rates for what you want to be paid versus at a convention, at least any of the ones I've ever worked at. Well, not all, almost all of them. They have set rates for what they pay their teachers. And so, yeah, so I just really wanted to come on here and say, like, if you're interested in teaching, if you want to teach at conventions, most of them do have links at the bottom of their pages, like their homepage. And most of them, I think, just say like, become a teacher. And if you click on those, a lot of them will give you the information you need if you want to apply to become a teacher. A lot of them just use Google Forms where you would just like put in your class information and like different things, and then they'll get back to you or whatever. But the thing about convention teaching is, while it is fun, it's like a great experience, it's a lot more competitive in terms of like who they hire. A lot of them do sort of have core groups of teachers that they use every time, which is great, right? Because those teachers are like living the dream, right? That they like did a good job and they get to constantly go back to those same conventions. Like, that's super awesome, but it does make it a little bit harder for those of us who haven't taught at those conventions to get in, because a lot of times they only have a few slots available for new teachers and there are a lot of people applying for them. So I guess really the point of this video is, if you are interested in teaching at conventions, do not get discouraged if you're getting rejected a lot. We all get rejected a lot. I think it's I personally think it is difficult to get into like the regular rotation of teachers at conventions. So don't let that discourage you. Really think about what your other options are. I've been able to build up the teaching part of my business to a pretty good level, just teaching for yarn stores and knitting guilds. And like I said, the knitting guilds, I feel like people forget about them a lot because, like, for example, I have a knitting group. Like, it's a casual knitting group. We meet at a Panera occasionally and knit. And so there's nothing official about us. There's no president or treasurer or anything like that. But there are a lot of knitters that have different knitting guilds. And I've taught at knitting guilds that are small, that maybe are only 15 people, and they do collect dues and have a president and all that, and a treasurer and a secretary. And I've taught for knitting guilds that are massively huge. So I guess that's just something to keep in mind. Like, for example, the Madison Knitters Guild is one of the biggest guilds in America. They have like actually like a convention level like event every year. Like, look around on the internet for knitting guilds near you. You never know. I've taught at like retreats and things like that for different guilds, just by like going on their different websites and seeing what their events are. And then a lot of them, like the conventions, will have like, want to teach? Here's a link. Send us an email, So that's just something to keep in mind, because as cool as it is to teach at a convention, I do think that it is a lot more competitive. And I think that it does sometimes discourage people from like wanting to pursue the teaching side of their design business. And I don't know, if you want to be a knitting teacher, it is super fun. It actually is one of my favorite parts of my job. This job, I'm just sitting here in my office at home a lot. And so it is nice to go out and sort of see what everybody's excited about, see what yarns they're excited about, and just talk to people about the thing we love, right? That's why we get into this business, is because like we love it so much, And so it's nice to go out and share that love of knitting and crochet with everybody. So I don't know, I just kind of wanted to talk briefly about that. If you are interested in teaching at a specific like event, and that I haven't taught at, especially conventions, I have not taught at a lot of conventions, but if you are interested in a specific event and that I have taught there, and you can't find the information, leave a comment down below. I can maybe try to point you in the right direction. I don't know. And if you're a designer that also teaches, I would love if you share your experience down below too. Do you have better luck teaching at conventions, guilds, yarn stores? Do you teach at one specific yarn store? I always like to know what everybody else is doing too. So anyway, that's it for me for today. If you like this video, go ahead and give it that thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos from me, including more designer chats, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you like, you can turn on notifications to be notified whenever I upload a new video. I hope that everybody has a great week, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.